Folks, in case you didn't hear that, we are now live streaming, just so you know. All right, we're going to start by Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with a roll call of members, please, Cindy.
Chair Dominso.
Here.
Rebecca Anderson. Here. John Lopez.
Here.
Anthony Gorski.
Here.
Joseph Keith.
Here.
Lawrence Korzinski.
Here.
Michael Wetzel.
Here.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is a meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Lancaster. Please keep in mind that we are an advisory and recommending board and not a final decision-making body. The rules of the Planning Board allow us to recognize only the petitioners of various projects and their representatives. We ask that anyone wishing to make comment do so in writing. Now for the board members, we'll start with the meeting minutes from August 16th. Any additions, deletions, or comments? If none, then ask for a motion to accept.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Great. Now we'll move on to the communications list. For item number 5, we will have a follow-on discussion at the end of the meeting. I did forward you the email that I received. Okay. Move on. Now we've got for those in the audience, we're going to be waiting till 7:05. We have a public meeting that's scheduled for 7:05, and we need to wait until exactly that time to start. With you? With them? Yeah, good idea. So for the board members, we do have our training next week with Chuck Malcolm, starting at 6 p.m.
Next week?
Or next meeting, sorry, next meeting, sorry about that. Good catch.
Oh, I'm usually not the one to ask.
Yeah. And then additional training, Cindy sent an email out today to everybody. And you also have Resolution 21, which will be part of that follow-on discussion that we're going to have later from yesterday's town board meeting. Okay, at this point, we'll open up a public hearing for 5767 and 5775 Genesee Street. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Hello?
Good evening. Jake Metzger with Metzger Engineering, 8245 Sheridan Drive in Williamsville. Also with me is Mr. Doug Wicks. He's the owner and the applicant for this project. I know you guys have seen this quite a bit. The project itself is located, like you said, at the southeast corner of Genesee Street and Stony Road. It's actually two parcels. A larger parcel here, which is at the corner, which has an existing commercial building and an existing single-family home dwelling. The second parcel is directly to the east of it, runs along here, front to back, and there is an existing single-family home on that project as well. This project, in a nutshell, is fairly simple for what we're trying to accomplish. The complexities of this come into play with the amount of approvals and steps that we need to get to that point. I know we've had discussions with the town engineer, the code enforcement officer, even the town attorney's office, about those steps and the proper procedures in order for us to get to the final, the finish line. So just to kind of give a brief detail of what we need to do, this is an existing survey, as I showed. There are two parcels that are currently zoned general commercial. This is the existing parcels as they appear today. What we're proposing is to subdivide these two parcels into 4 parcels. There will be 2 frontage parcels here on Genesee Street, 2 frontage parcels here on Stony Road. We want to rezone these to residential. These will remain, as I said, general commercial. What this is going to accomplish is we're trying to clean up this site. As I said, there's an existing commercial business and an existing single-family home on the site now. It doesn't work. It violates a lot of codes. It's a non-conforming lot usage. So in doing this, it's going to clean up and alleviate a lot of headaches for the town. Going forward, it will be in compliance with all town codes and all zoning ordinances. So in addition to the subdivision and the rezoning, there will also be some variances that we're going to be asking. Many of these variances, if not most of them, are already existing, meaning that the buildings are already too close to the property line. We want to get it memorialized on record with the town that this is a variance that is required and has been granted by the town moving forward. Otherwise, we need those. That's another step. So rezoning, subdivision, and variances. Now, all those fall under the seeker environmental review. In its totality, the project should be reviewed in its whole, what we want to do at the end. So in talking with a lot of town officials, some of the board members, that's step one. We want to get a seeker environmental review underway which has already been done months ago. So we're at a point now where we're asking the board to consider a recommendation to issue a negative declaration for this project. And if it's the pleasure of the board, we'd also ask, once the public hearing is closed, if they could recommend a subdivision approval to the town board. And again, that will be at the end. It's just one more step that we need to get to, but the town board does have ultimate subdivision approval, and they will look for the board's recommendation, this board's recommendation, prior to issuing that. That's basically it in a nutshell. I can answer any questions, myself or Doug, that you guys might have at this time.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, as I stated before, I'd have to abstain from any discussion or voting in this matter since the applicant's applying.
Okay, duly noted, thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Again, any questions or comments from the public? Last chance, any questions or comments from the public? I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. Now we need to go in to do seeker. Make a motion to open seeker.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Does everybody have a long form?
Yes, but the other spare, it'll save me.
I'll take my 2 cents, please.
Okay, impact on land. Proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site.
Yes. I think it's, well, it's small.
So we should go through it then?
Hold on.
You gonna pull out what they
You've
have?
got to pull out the
Yep.
cheat sheet.
Yep.
I don't know how you guys can memorize the information that they give you. I have to have my part one out. Okay. Because my question is always the first one on depth to
Water table?
yeah, water table. I can never find it. Bedrock is less than 5 feet. Soil types. 2 to 4 feet for water table. So we need to go through it.
Okay, we'll work our way through it. Proposed action may involve construction on land where depth of water table is less than 3 feet.
Yeah, but it's small.
So no or small impact. Proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater.
No.
Proposed action may involve construction on land where bedrock is exposed or generally within 5 foot of existing ground surface.
No, it's more than that.
Proposed action may involve the excavation and removal of more than 1,000 tons of natural material. Proposed action may involve construction that continues for more than 1 year or in multiple phases.
Mine.
No. Proposed action may result in increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetation removal.
The only construction would be a new home on a newly constructed lot.
Yes.
So
Correct.
that's not, they're not going to let that happen. So no.
The proposed action is or may be located within a coastal erosion hazard area.
No.
Okay, so can we say, what do we say on this one now?
It's overall,
No,
no.
it's an overall no.
No. No for number one, okay. Number two, proposed action may result in modification or destruction of, or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site.
No.
Number 3, proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies.
No.
No. Number 4, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater, or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
No.
Number 5, the proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding.
Yes. The bottom line, so we better go through it.
Okay. Proposed action may result in development in a designated floodway.
No.
Proposed action may result in development within a 100-year floodplain.
Yes.
Proposed action may result in development within a 500-year floodplain.
Yes. That's what they're telling us.
Proposed action may result in or require modification of existing drainage patterns.
No.
Proposed action may change floodwater flows that contribute to flooding.
No.
If there is a dam located on the site of the proposed action, is the dam in need of repair or upgrade?
No. No. So no.
So overall, we have a no.
Well,
Yeah, I think the floodplain ones are small, right?
the building is in the floodplain, it's a small impact on the floodplain, and the code enforcement officer / floodplain administrator will deal with mitigation for construction on the site so that flooding is not allowed. So it happens with buildings. So it's an overall no, but we needed to recognize that the newly created lot is in the floodplain. So you can make a note. So the way we should be handling this is when you do the minutes and you say, no, overall no, but the site is in the 100-year floodplain and construction will meet town floodplain ordinances.
So are B and C then, we no to small, or are we saying they're moderate to large?
Small.
No to small.
Small, no to small. But if you don't acknowledge these things up front, then at some point someone's going to buy that split off lot and they're going to say, well, you didn't, no one told me, or they didn't even look, or we didn't acknowledge. We have to acknowledge these things. So what it usually means in the floodplain is either the lot has to be somehow removed from the flood hazard area, or you build elevated structures, no basements. So, continue.
Okay. Number 5, impact on flooding. The proposed
No,
act.
no, air.
6 were.
6.
Oh,
Four and a half. Look
oh,
at this.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Want to say that one more?
4 and a half.
Thanks.
One more.
We would have got the same answers, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Number 6, impacts on air. Proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source.
No.
Number 7, impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in loss of flora or fauna.
It's already pretty well groomed.
It's not
No.
necessary, no.
So no. Number 8, impacts on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources.
No.
Number 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource.
No.
Number 10, impact on historical and archaeological resources. Proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource.
They say no.
Number 11, impact on open space and recreation. Proposed action may result in loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan.
No.
No. Number 12 does not pertain. We don't have a critical environmental area. Number 13, impact on transportation. Proposed action may result in change to existing transportation systems.
No.
Number 14, impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy.
No.
Number 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. Proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting.
No.
No. Number 16, impact on human health. Proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
Nope.
Number 17, consistency with community plans. Proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. No.
I don't know, but it's okay. That's the answer. It's a worded question.
And number 18, consistency with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character.
No.
No. So at this point, look for a motion.
I'll make a motion for a negative deck, seeker, long form.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain.
Yes.
That's it for this one, right? Move on. We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can't be sold without them, right?
Right. That's true. Next public hearing we're going to have is for 5943 Genesee Street. I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Good evening. Fred Goronsky from Colligan Law, appearing for the Schofield family and children regarding a minor subdivision for 5943 Genesee Street. This is a proposed division of a 23-acre parcel to 3 acres with a homestead to family members. There has been, at the previous planning board meeting, a resolution was offered and negative declaration was, issued. Additionally, there was a proposed action labeled as unlisted in seeker. There were 2 items that were asked by the building department to be completed. One was the removal of a couple of walls and debris on the smaller parcel. I believe all of that has been done. If there are any questions, Mr. Mechnika is here, who is the owner of the 3-acre parcel. And second, there was a request to have a restriction attached to the larger parcel and smaller parcel regarding any runoff from the 3-acre parcel shall be accepted and permitted onto the larger parcel. That subdivision restriction agreement was presented to the town attorney a week or so ago. We have had no comment, but I have not circulated that agreement for signature with the parties. Waiting until this hearing is completed. At that time, the subdivision restriction agreement will be signed by all parties, that'd be the family members, and then filed with the clerk's office, linked to both parcels so that the restriction would be in place for the current owners as well as any potential future owners. Any questions?
I spoke with the town attorney today regarding that agreement, and the agreement is fine. So you can go ahead and get that signatures on that agreement. That'd be great. Any questions from the board? No. At this point, I'll open up to the public for any questions or comments. Again, I'll open up to the public for any questions or comments. And for a third time, I'll open up to the public for any questions or comments. Hearing none, I'll make a motion. What was the motion going to be here?
Public hearing?
To close the public hearing, yeah. But I was going to do something else. But go ahead. Yeah. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
easy to do.
Yeah. What's that? Motion for approval? Oh, we have to, yeah, that's the one that we have to have the condition on, yeah. Okay, so I'll make a motion for approval of the subdivision. And then, excuse me, there's going to be a condition on that, is to make sure that we have the filed agreement. So you'll have to have the signatures done and then get the agreement signed and get it filed.
I will file it with the clerk's office after signatures and then present a copy to
Correct.
Attorney Fowler. Would that be
Yes.
acceptable?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Yep. Look for a second on that.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. All set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next public hearing is 728 Aurora Street. I'll make a motion for the open the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, huh? Thanks, Larry. All those opposed? There you go.
Todd Adamek, 728 Aurora Street, Lancaster. I am looking to subdivide one building lot on the northwest corner of my property. I didn't bring any pictures. That's all I got. Yes.
I'm trying to figure out exactly where it is, and I know where the Curtises are, and then you drive.
Opposite side.
This is north, on the north end, so it's wooded.
Not all of it, no. No, my property goes maybe 5 to 10 feet into the tree line.
The tree line continues on up.
Yeah, down the side of my property, correct.
Onto
Yeah, there's trees up front too, on Aurora Street.
pardon?
There's trees on Aurora Street too. It's not wooded. There's pine trees sporadically in there.
Okay. It's hard to pull over on Aurora Street and take a look. It's tough.
You pull in my driveway?
Well, then I'd have to back out, and it's even harder.
Yeah, you just have to turn around at the top. I can help you.
Okay. I was trying to figure out exactly where it was.
So what occurs is ours, the other side, north side of the property. There was actually stakes in the ground, if you looked.
I missed them. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. Any other questions or comments from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public or comments? 728 Aurora. Again, any questions or comments from the public for 728 Aurora? And the last time, any questions or comments from the public for 728 Aurora?
It is wooded. I was right.
You can't tell where the property line is there.
I'll make a
Saying
motion.
it's 10 feet onto his property.
Yeah, it's 5 feet.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We can go through seeker then? I believe this is a short form.
Yep.
Number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation?
No.
Number two, will the proposed action result in change in the use or intensity of the land? Number three, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
4 is not applicable. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
No.
Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies? Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? Number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Okay, so, anyone care to make a motion on this?
Motion for negative deck.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then we are looking for a motion to accept the subdivision. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Conditions that were listed on their correspondence from the Building and Zoning Department, please incorporate that with your recommendations.
I will. To find him?
Here, you can have mine. Here.
Any approval shall be conditioned with the installation of a public sidewalk along the entire road frontage and a T-turnaround driveway for the newly created lot. And provision shall be made through a binding agreement filed with both parcels to accept surface runoff from the southeast site onto the newly created parcel through a shared drainage easement along the westerly common property line drainage onto Aurora Street.
So you would help you to take the, hand it down, please.
To Carl, that would be another one that the town board couldn't act until that easement was filed.
They can't act on it until it's filed. Yeah.
I know.
So the sidewalks would be just from lot line to lot line, not like my whole front?
Yeah.
A new lot.
The new lot?
Minimally, I believe the condition was for both.
New or both?
Entire road frontage sidewalk along the entire road frontage and a T-turn for the newly created lot, my apologies.
Okay.
Newly created.
That's what I thought.
And that the town board is not,
There's nothing on either side, so people walking on the sidewalk and,
Oh, wow.
they gotta start somewhere.
yeah, it's true, it's true.
You could do more.
And as we said to the previous applicant, the town's not gonna be able, the town board's not gonna be able to act until they have that agreement actually signed and filed with the county.
Okay, I have to sign that?
Yeah, you'll have to draft it. Or
I
your,
have to draft it?
or your attorney.
And then submit it for us for review.
Okay. Can I get a copy of that? Just whatever regulations were, that I need to do? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get it to you.
Okay.
Sure.
This is letter dated 6/22.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Sidewalks that are homes built or for transfer, or for
You require a person to create a parcel for the home.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is for when if a home is built?
Yes, when the home is built.
If.
Well, I'm assuming, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
maybe plan.
Yeah, yeah. You
So
got the
this would
condition?
be like for like when they, the building permit, like you would need? So for what we're doing now, would I need
Well, for
this?
the subdivision, we need the agreement filed.
Okay.
To get your final approval of your subdivision, you have to
The
come to
sidewalk.
town board. Remember, we're a recommending body.
Gotcha. Okay.
The sidewalk doesn't.
And then the
begin
sidewalk is,
until-
yeah.
so-
Right.
Until
Until they build the
something's
house,
built.
right?
Yep.
Perfect.
All set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I good?
Yep.
All right,
We're good.
thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Next item is the amended site plan review for Casey Machine Company located at 74 Ward Road.
Good evening, how you guys doing?
Hello.
So I hope you all have seen the plans. We want to expand the existing Casey Machine Company. They presently do small part manufacturing for, they subcontract with Moog, they do defense contracting, aerospace and stuff like that. So recently they've contracted with Moog, they need to expand, so we're looking to add another 15,000 square feet to their existing 37,000 square foot facility. Right now, the building that they're working from now is a pre-engineered steel building. We would like, at this point, we're planning on doing concrete block and steel based on availability of materials. They're kind of based on what he's been working with his contractor, we think that that's the easiest and fastest way to do it. So at this point, that's what we would like to do. The site plan right now, we think we're pretty good as far as drainage and all that, the 100-year floodplain, using the existing retention basins and detention systems. Parking, they do 2 shifts right now, as you know, based on what's been going on lately. They have about 50 employees now, so the parking right now is way over what they need. They think they're going to add about 20 employees to handle the new business that will be coming with the new contracts. So in that case, they think that we're fine. As far as site plan goes, you know, little minor landscaping, some little changes here and there. There are some isolated wetlands. I don't know if you have seen the correspondence from Eric Kroll, who's been working with the Army Corps of Engineers and the DEC. They pretty much said that they're going to not be too much involved with it because it was kind of created from other developments in the area. So we don't really see any impact as far as that goes. No expansion with any of the lighting or anything like that. They work 2 shifts, 6:30 to 2, correct? And then 2:30 to 1 in the morning, so they're not concerned about safety or anything like that. And I know with some of Matt's letters, he asked that we connect the sidewalk from one of the exits to the front portion of the property, which we've agreed, and that's not a problem. We'll take care of. So what we're hoping for is to get approval, conditional on any, based on any conditions that you might stipulate as far as engineering and anything else. Any questions?
Open up to the board for any questions at this point or comments? None? Ed?
I sent out a review, I think for September 1st with comments. I haven't received any responses. So.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I think most of them are things that we can address with my engineer that we're working on. I don't think there's anything that's any major concerns.
Well, without those, we can't really move forward, right?
Yeah, that's what the secret is, right?
Yeah, we still have to come back to
Still,
seeker.
that's what the secret. So I figured in that time frame, I'd probably get responses.
Yeah. We're out for seeker now?
Yeah. I don't have an exact date for what meeting we can come back, but I think by the next meeting we should be good.
Okay.
No,
Matt, do you have any comments or questions?
Nothing outside of what I've already submitted.
Okay.
Sorry. On the landscaping plan, is that the plan that was submitted with the original construction of the site, do you think? Or do you think the landscaping, or was the landscaping plan designed specific to the new addition?
It's specific to the new addition.
Okay.
What was there, what we did a quick overview. It's pretty much what was approved back in, I think it was 2008.
Yeah, when I looked at your plans, the plans that were submitted, and I looked at the site and tried to figure out what's still there and what's died and what's.
It's all pretty much the same.
It's pretty much the same.
Same.
Sometimes you get to sites and the original landscaping plan never got put in or didn't get completed. So the only thing I would request is that you don't use ornamentals and or invasive species, and you stick with native.
No spiros, no
Pardon?
no spira and stuff like that.
No Norway maples.
I know.
Norway maples are an invasive species in New York State. I don't know if you know that.
No, but I got one in my front yard. Oh well.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, but they've been determined to be an invasive species, so no new.
Well, I just learned something.
Plant sugar maples.
I have one of those too.
You know? Yeah, Norways are very and also those red maples. They're not native. They're an ornamental. But if you could please just stay away from the invasives and go with natives. The natives are sugar maple, silver maple, red oak, white oak.
Okay. I think we're all like the ground plantations on the front of the building. I don't think we went to anything bigger because everything else is pretty much there already.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is. So, but if you replace anything,
And then we're only going to go back into the wooded area as much as we have to.
okay. So this was actually the plan of what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was kind of getting to. But if anything gets replaced or redone, just keep in the back of your mind for future applications anywhere in New York State.
Okay. Good to know.
And I love machine shops. I do.
50,000 square foot machine shop.
I know.
Pretty impressive.
I know. My father was a machinist. He was a tool and die maker. He was a master mold maker. They don't make them like that anymore.
Councilmember Mazer, any comments, questions?
Times are changing.
Well, we're still awaiting seeker coordination, so not much more at this point that we can really do
Yeah.
on this project.
So what would be our next step?
We'll have to coordinate seeker, and then you'll come back at probably our October meeting.
20th?
Let me check. I don't want to promise by the 4th because I don't have a date to see what day our seeker was coordinated. It's a 30-day lookout that we have to set it for. So without knowing the date that seeker was coordinated, I can't say if it's been 30 days or if it'll be 30 days by October 4th. And I don't want to promise the 20th because I don't have the date that it was coordinated in my file here.
And that's through the state? Or through the...
We'll do that here.
Okay.
Will we notify?
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
definitely,
we'll know what-
yeah.
What meeting?
We'll definitely get back to you as far as the date. Get you back here and then get your approval moving.
So seeker sits out there for 30 days and then we're able to go through the
Oh,
checklist.
30 days from now or 30 days?
From when it was.
From the
From the
notification.
date that it was coordinated, but again, I don't have the exact date. I don't know that tonight, so.
But today's September 6th, it's already started, right? Maybe?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
The October 20th date seems like it should be able to be hit.
Well, September 20th, I think, was the one you were asking about.
That's-
October
September
4th and then 18th.
Or October 4th.
October 4th might be able to, but
If it's already been coordinated, then October 4th will work, but if not, then the 18th.
worst case scenario, it should be the 18th then, right?
Best case scenario, it's earlier than that, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you would
now.
know, you let us know now.
Yeah, well,
So Michael, yes. Okay, so can I just do a direct phone number for you?
Sure. I'll give you my mobile number, 716-574-6677.
Can we get him an answer tomorrow, maybe? Or the next,
yeah.
by Friday, we'll have you an answer as to the date.
We're just excited to get going before the snow comes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're not getting snow this year.
Global warming.
Yeah. Yes, we're gonna, I'll make a motion to table.
Move to table.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next one is the amended site plan review for West Hirata Audi at 6501 Transit Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Robert Pedanek from Nussbaumer and Clark's office. We're located at 3556 Lakeshore Road in Hamburg. And as you had indicated, we're here on behalf of the Wester Automotive Group tonight. My coworker Terry Boyle is with me. He's Vanna White tonight. He's helping with the board. This project has been in front of you before. We were here earlier this year. We had a site plan approved. Some variances were approved for this parking along here. And, new parking spaces have been added. Wester has purchased almost a 0.34 acre parcel from the neighbor who owns this self-storage building. And what they're proposing to do is take this building down and expand their parking lot back there to just pick up 50 additional spaces in the back. We submitted our plans in August. We've just been getting reviews right now from the building department, from the engineering department. We're addressing those comments. This is a type 2 action pursuant to seeker, so there'll be no further recommendation that this board will need to make to the town board. We are proposing drainage. One of the comments that we had received from the town engineer was that we were actually tying this is the new expansion area. Here's the existing parking lot, and this was the area that we're proposing to add on, take down that storage building. They are leaving a little piece of that building, like 2 storage components to be able to use for yard equipment and their yard. So we're proposing a new landscape buffer here and trees. There's a 10-foot adjacency here to the parking lot. We had proposed the stormwater collection system being tied into the existing. The town engineer said he would prefer really to see that handled on its own. And so we're going to be submitting a subsurface detention design for that area. So we just have received his comments, and we'll address those in time, hopefully, for the next meeting. The building department, Matt Fischione, had identified a couple things. He said we may need a variance, and we weren't sure. We're actually looking for guidance from the board on this because we didn't think we were really creating a new lot here. But Matt told us that the minimum area of the lot is an acre. This piece that Wester purchased is only 0.34. So it's really like we've just taken a chunk of that parking lot, and we don't really know yet, just said we may. And so we're just bringing it up to the board. I don't know what kind of latitude you have. I know you can waive parking requirements and things like that, but I don't think that we've created, Matt, anything in violation. You've raised this issue. And we're just reiterating that to the board in case it is a concern. The lot width is supposed to be 100 feet minimum. We've only added 42 feet onto the existing lot. And the side yard setback, there's a 15-foot minimum required. We only have, where is it, Terry, the 1.5 foot? So 1.65 feet there.
The existing building, part of that.
Yeah, to the that's where the existing storage building sits. We don't know. I don't know if the board has discretion to be able to do anything with that. I do want to add also that we're not putting any new lighting in here. There's lights along the eastern side of the existing lot, which are going to be adequate for us. And in addition to the new landscaping, we are proposing a 6-foot high chain link fence along that property for security reasons. And that's the long and the short of it. And if I forgot anything, Terry will remind me because he's been developing all the plans.
No, you covered it pretty well. Yeah, so, and if this is curious about the demo plan itself, and you saw it, I know, but that's kind of the existing building that comes across here. So this is being demolished, obviously, concrete foundation, but they're keeping that little small piece there. The storage areas. But that's what it looks like right now. It's after the demo that basically we're expanding the parking lot back into here.
So we are, in conclusion, we're seeking your recommendation for site plan approval. We have to address the town engineer's concerns. We're not going anywhere, and we will do that.
Normally, I'd open up to the board, but Matt, if you could, please respond.
I would love to clarify, and that specifically is comment number 3 of my correspondence. At some point, this little sliver of land was created. I'm going to get that exact date. Should have been listed on that notation. But when that thing was created, they created a non-conforming lot, separating that parcel from the original flex space public storage facility at 6509 Transit Road. It was isolated all by itself. The building was separated for whatever use it was utilized for. The applicant is making that purchase of that land, hopefully merging it onto the existing 6501. But in doing that, 6509 created several nonconformities. When it happened, it got filed, things, and I'll grab that notification. So should this board make recommendation tonight to move forward with the project, one of the conditions should be the seller of that parcel steps up to the plate, makes their parcel whole, proper, according to zoning, or we'll have some conflicts. It's not detrimental to the West Herd project that this piece was brought in, but in the way that parcel was created, it conflicted with everything in the zoning departments.
Becky, you look like you were going to say.
No, on yours, on the West Shore property, the concept of merging this with the rest of your property, doing a new survey that everything shows as one parcel, seems to solve the problem on your side.
Right.
But the seller.
And I don't know how we can fix what they've done.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, I don't know how you could go after them. The town would have to notify them of their deficiencies at some point. And now I think I heard heard you say that you have a parking lot setback from an adjacent parcel of 1 foot or something.
Just where that building sits.
Yeah, it's on the building itself, setback.
I'm going to bring that up.
Yeah, thank you.
Where this building sits with respect to.
Okay, the rest of
Yeah,
it.
it's just there.
I don't know what to tell you, Rob. Go for a variance? It sets you back in
We
time
would
and money.
love to avoid a variance, but that's what we have to do.
It may be the one thing that makes Matt happy and cleans it up on your side.
Well, I mean, I've identified that sliver of land was created March 11th, 2021. Didn't have any notification on our end of it. I'll follow up. I'll definitely follow up with the previous owner. If we can just work together on identifying what those setback requirements are. My understanding is going to be it's an accessory structure. You're going to leave 2 bays.
Correct.
Of an existing storage unit.
Yeah.
And we have to identify that distance from the property line.
Okay. Well, we have that now, it's the 1.65 feet.
Correct, yes.
One.
1.65 feet.
It should be 15.
Requirement is 15, and it's 13.
Yeah.
So to avoid your variance, you have to relocate the building or remove it.
They may remove the building. I don't know that they're just leaving, these are compartment things that they can leave to, they want to keep to. But if it means avoiding a variance so that we can move forward, we'll satisfy engineer Schiller's concerns and hopefully be able to move on to the town board and get approval. I know Wester would like to build this parking lot this year if possible, or we are running short on time, but
Well, if it moves along and you don't want to apply for variance, then we would be required to make demolition of that entire building addition.
Okay, that is something I'd have to run by Mr. Wheeler.
We're not there yet anyway.
I wouldn't be able to answer that tonight.
We wouldn't have any other
Well,
option.
demolition or relocate.
Or, well, how do you relocate? What is it, concrete block?
The buildings they're metal.
Oh, they're metal.
Yeah.
Well, then you'd be back in here with an amended plan.
I'm assuming we may see you in 2 weeks.
It seems like we're heading in that direction, that we're not going to be able to do much right now.
And just so I'm clear with the parcels, your intent is to merge that into the existing front parcel?
Correct.
So it's all one?
Yep.
Okay. You were talking about separate parcel, I was getting confused.
So that would require them to submit a new survey of the entire
A
property.
new property survey, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and we have that already. Nuss Baumer has already prepared that survey. I didn't bring it along with me tonight. I didn't think I would need it, but we do
Next
have it.
time, they'll need it.
So it sounds to me like you've got to discuss a couple of different options with your client.
Yep.
And depending on how that goes, will determine what the next steps are for you.
Correct. Yep. Well, hopefully we'll erase the building and in 2 weeks we'll be back.
Just erase it?
We're just going to erase.
Just erase it
Terry's
off.
very good at putting X's through these features. Yeah, like this. This crosses them out. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Do we have to table?
Ed? Any-
No, they've got the comments, they're working on them.
We have to table.
Matt, anything else for you?
No, that was it.
Councilmember Mazur? Anyone want to make a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Anyone care to second that motion? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Specifically table the 20th.
It's actually, it's tabled until we find out the direction that you're going to go in.
Yeah, they've got to make a bunch of submittals back on drainage and stuff. Yeah.
So once you figure that out, let us know and then we'll.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Sketch plan review for Harris Hill subdivision.
Hello. Evening. Corey Auerbach from the law firm of Barclay Damon on behalf of the applicant, Grau Builders, joined this evening by Doug Faze from Carmina Wood Design, the site engineers. For some of you, this is a introduction of this project. For some of you, this is a reintroduction of this project. This parcel and the adjoining parcel that has now been combined thereto was the subject of a prior sketch plan application before the planning board going back to 2017 or 2018. By way of history, at that time, the development included 22 lots on 9 acres accessed off Harris Hill Road, culminating in a cul-de-sac. The proposal, the reimagined proposal that we're presenting to you for your review today is 28 lots on 32 acres accessed off Pleasant View. So the prior design had exclusive access from Harris Hill, came in, culminated in a cul-de-sac here. The new design is proposed off of Pleasant View, includes this loop road, and then ends in a T-turnaround off Harris Hill to avoid what were perceived as some traffic impacts on Harris Hill in the prior proposal. We did receive comments from the town engineer and from Mr. Fashone. We understand that the process includes an initial presentation, classification of the subdivision, and then as we work into and through the seeker process, eventually culminating in a recommendation from the planning board on seeker and subdivision approval from the town board. We are engaging you at this early stage now as part of sketch plan to elicit any feedback that you have, not only from the town's agencies, but also, of course, from the planning board. There is some wetland and floodplain associated with this development to the north This land is not proposed to be developed as part of the application so that we can avoid impacts to both wetlands and floodplain. These lots range in size from about just over 15,000 square feet to 30,000 square feet. We think that they're in keeping with the character of the adjoining properties, including the scale of development. We understand that there's going to be some additional input that we'll need to provide the board as part of the seeker process, specifically related to impacts to land and, of course, traffic. Notably, at 28 lots, this is about 30% of what the Institute of Traffic Engineers considers to be a large traffic impact. They generally look at 95 single-family residences as causing a significant traffic impact. Again, we're at 28, and the scale of this development has been significantly reduced since it was proposed in 2018. I think at that time it was about 2.4 lots per acre. Now we're looking at about 0.875 lots per acre. So larger lots spread out over significantly more area, still avoiding the potentially sensitive areas, including access off of Pleasant View and avoiding access presently off Harris Hill. We understand there was a comment about compliance with the town's requirements for proposed roads with 13 lots. That, of course, is something that we will review and consider and respond to, work through with the town engineer and the code enforcement officer. But those are the highlights of the proposal, and again, at this preliminary stage, we're really here to solicit your feedback. Doug is here to answer any questions that you might have about stormwater. Of course, we're not engineered at this point, but of course, anticipate as we move through the process, those are details that we can provide.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I can understand why you closed off that end on Harris Hill, because no one would be able to make a left out of there for hours and hours and hours. But it still is adding to that congestion in this general area. But fairways, Belmont, and it's a good, how about 4 changes of the light to get from Worley in? So you have a really tough traffic problem here during rush hour. And otherwise too, especially in rush hour.
Ready?
Yep, ready.
I had no interest in entertaining this the first time, and I have no interest in this at all. I don't like houses in the backyard of existing houses. And this whole, a lot of this site flooded beyond the map floodplain. Can't tell you what year it was, but I was still working, so over 10 years ago. And people buy houses with the assumption that their yards will be dry and they'll be able to use all their property. They won't. And I don't know what the floodplain line is specifically here, but whether or not it's in the map floodplain doesn't mean it's not very wet. And I remember looking at the Environmental Resource Protection maps, or ERCOD, that we have, and this is wooded. And this is an area of town that I'm not interested in seeing disturbed. It's good habitat along the creek, and not having any fill or other encroachments is what keeps the existing properties from flooding worse than they already do. So this is Harris Hill. It floods terribly here at Harris Hill. It floods worse at Stony. And the more you plug up, this is the plug. Harris Hill is the plug. So if you do any encroachment, it's going to make it worse. Or you'd have to prove it. I'm just, this makes me nuts. This just makes me crazy. So I'm going to say I'm not real thrilled about it. And if there's any motion to be made forward on this, it won't be by me.
Any other comments from the board? Ed, anything from you?
Well, I gave you the comments, I gave you my thoughts on the sketch. The turnaround is just, if nothing else, from snow plowing, emergency vehicles, school buses, to have just one access on Pleasant View is a nightmare. Yes, it may be hard to get in and out of there, so people may all go to Pleasant View anyways, but at least they have the option to use Harris Hill should they need to. Traffic study is definitely going to be required with an intersection analysis, obviously at Pleasant View and Harris Hill during the school year, just so we get all the data. And then some drainage issues that we'll deal with as it goes forward through engineering, because there's drainage from the south that flows north, and there's a ditch that runs east-west in there that the town's had issues with, and it all has to be accommodated for.
I don't have anything on this one.
Matt, any comments from you?
Maybe more than what was
Discussed earlier. Sure. Councilmember Mazer.
I know the town of North is going to have a huge issue with the traffic situation there. First, I was on Pleasant View at 7:45 in the morning, and there's, with school starting, going on, this traffic study, I definitely believe needs to be done during school hours, not during the summer or anything like that, because that traffic was backed up from Harris Hill all the way back to Fort Drive. There was 40 cars in line. It's going to be a huge issue trying to get out of that subdivision to go make a right and go west on Pleasant View anytime in the morning, from 7 o'clock to 8:30. It's a nightmare.
And then at rush hour too, right? Yeah.
That's not even talking about the solution.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may briefly?
Sure.
All those comments are very well received. Those are issues that we anticipate will need to be worked through as part of the subdivision process, particularly Becky's comments. And I think she summed it up best, which was that we're going to have to prove it to you, and that's what we're asking for the opportunity to do, is to provide you with the analysis and the support to make you comfortable with those items if we are able to. And so we're here making the initial presentation with the understanding we've got to do some additional work and maybe even some community engagement, and we're here to start the process and to undertake that. And our commitment is to try to provide you with those documents and
I think
materials.
the community engagement piece is a big piece too. There's a lot of people in the town. We all live in the town, and there's a lot of people that are speaking to us about things, and this is one of the projects that we actually hear about sometimes. And so it would go a long way for you to do some community engagement. And don't miss, or please don't breeze or brush past Councilmember Mazer's comment about the traffic study needing to be done at the right time of day. Giving us a traffic study at noon isn't sufficient. It needs to be noon in the summertime. It's different than school time, rush or morning time.
Understood.
I also, getting back to the school bus, I don't think there's any way you're going to turn a school bus around unless one of those lots get lost, because it's not going to work where you have it shown right now. I don't think, anyways. I don't think there's enough space there.
You need a period.
That T turnaround, yeah. Same thing with fire truck.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I'm glad you're hearing everything that we have to say. You have a lot of work in front of you, and we're looking forward to you coming back and doing your due diligence. That being said, look for a motion to table.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We will see you again.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on now to the amended former site plan review. New number to project, just Ewing Irrigation and Landscaping. Sorry about that, I'm just reading through here. 5550 Genesee Street.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Palumbo. I represent the petitioner. I'm here with Ken Zolich from GPI, who has done all the work on the project. Just a brief history, this parcel started out at one time as a request for enterprise rental car. Some of you may remember that. And that did not fly, and it went from that to Rec Masters, which did fly. That was approved, and they operated out of this site for a number of years. And we now have Ewing Irrigation Supply. And Ewing Irrigation Supply is just that. They do stone piling and all kinds of different things for golf courses and things like that. You've probably seen some of the material that's already been on the site. So what we're here today is just to discuss the site plan and discuss any seeker issues you might have. Ken's going to run through the original plan and show you the changes that we've made to that plan. So I'll ask Ken to do that now.
Thank you. Yeah, Ken Zelich with the engineering firm GPI. So this first sheet just shows what the original approved plan was from the Rec Master site plan approval. That was approved back in 2017, ultimately constructed. As part of that approval, we did show a future building expansion off the back. The intent was Rec Masters was going to expand at one point. So that showed a 70 by 60 future building expansion. That never got constructed, but what we are showing today is still part of that expansion. It's not quite as large as originally approved. We're now down to a 50-foot by 70-foot expansion, so 10 foot off the back for the building to suit Ewing's needs. In addition to that, some of the other changes that they're looking for, number one, they're going to be fencing the paved area behind the building, as well as stoning the lot. This was originally intended to be a work yard, essentially, where Rec Masters would train tow truck drivers and stuff on overturned trucks, and that type of thing was grassed. With Ewing coming in and wanting to use this more as a storage yard, they're looking to gravel that so that they can provide their material supply right there. We did show kind of just a proposed truck area where that would be turning around so that we know it's not going to be on Genesee Street. They'll have room to get into the site, turn around, unload as necessary. So that's the major changes. Really, that's ultimately what we're looking at here is this stone storage yard. In addition to that, of course, we've had additional drainage due to the increased runoff from going from grass to storm. So we do have a new dry swale located along there. In addition to that, we are in the floodplain in this area, so to offset it for the town floodplain development requirements, we do have an area where we will be excavating over to the west end of the site, and we do have a ditch that's existing running through there. We've kind of hatched that to show it as a not to disturb area to remain preserved. There's a bit of a tree line there too that helps kind of buffers that adjoining resident to the west from the storage yard. Beyond that, there's really no changes to any curb cuts on Genesee Street, no changes to any of the utilities. That's all remaining the same on site, so we're really looking at the storage yard and some storm work to accommodate that.
The only thing that I would add, again, you're all very familiar, Genesee Street here, and the addition is towards the thruway side of the property.
That's it. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Well, I remember when this Rec Master went in, some of us were concerned about the church next door. Have they had any issues with Rec Masters that you know of over the years?
I've not received any complaints, have heard of any issues at all. I think that side is actually looks pretty good with the natural brush and buffering that they have out there in the building. Yeah, none that I'm aware of.
Have you or your client had any contact with the church? It's a fairly large complex with a lot of activity.
I don't think we have, but we certainly could reach out to them. That's not a problem.
I don't remember any complaints about what Rec Master was doing, but I think it'd probably be a good idea. I mean, that
Our client did meet with the church, our client from Rec Master met with the church years ago, but we haven't had any contact with them on this yet.
Just a suggestion.
Sure.
I'd like to just make a reminder that the thruway is the back door to projects along Genesee Street, and more traffic goes along the thruway, and we'll see your site than will ever be on Genesee Street. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of cars a day.
For sure.
So please just make sure the client knows that it can't be junky and dumpy.
Okay, and it's the best spot for a sign.
Pardon?
Best spot for a sign then.
Best spot
Spot for a sign.
Well, you know, it's a good spot for a sign if it looks good. If it's neat and tidy and looks good. Landscaping businesses can be a little bit untidy just by the nature of piles of this and piles of that. It's not the piles of material, it's the broken down junk. So make sure that there's no deposition of junk.
Sure.
Because that's what happens. You get a mower that breaks or whatever, and unless they're inside the building, this isn't a junkyard.
Good point.
Okay? But they will want to see what the name of the business is along the back.
How do you feel about the flashing neon sign?
Oh, yeah, right. What, fake green trees or something? That's basically all I had. Just, so you're doing flood mitigation
Yes.
on the side there?
Yes, we do.
You plan any new landscaping over there? I think you should,
Hasn't been discussed, although we can certainly review with our, with the
well, you
owner.
got a neighbor over there, don't you? On the other side? Pardon?
Way over here.
Yeah, way over.
Yeah, it's a residence. I mean, it's, we had this discussion at Recmaster, which is why, well, it's enterprise.
I recall that we, yeah, maybe you recall, I think we put bushes along there. I thought because of landscaping along that property line.
Well, I don't-
I may be wrong.
Yeah, I don't recall
The vegetative buffer was to remain.
Is that what it was?
The ditch.
Yeah, and that has, and is still, that's why we have this hatched area through years, to make
Right.
sure that vegetated area remains, so they're really screened from the actual business. I mean, the mitigation area for the floodplain is, I mean, we're gonna excavate it, seed it, and I don't know if they plan on mowing it, or if they're just gonna let it go natural and, you know, develop over time to successful growth.
I don't know what the standard would be for mowing it, but you might want to look into running like a row of trees down the property line. That wouldn't hurt. And if you do, make sure they're natives, you know, oaks and maples.
Yep.
Austrian pines are not a native species. Norway's, no. You can do Norway spruce. They have been adopted by New York State. They're okay, but, you know, I'm just thinking, you got the house over there, and the idea of leaving the vegetative buffer, not messing with it, was to protect the house from mostly enterprise. And then Recmaster too. So if you're gonna be altering things, and then we jump in and say, okay, you're messing it up, let's make sure it gets landscaped, okay?
Okay, yeah, we'll discuss with the owner, and we have an excellent LA on staff, so be sure to take a look at it, make sure it's native species.
Make sure they know that the throughway is their biggest sales. If they do golf course or, you know, big landscaping, but they need to just be aware of how they store things.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Any other questions or comments from the board? No. Ed?
Still in review, so I don't have any comments at this point.
Emily?
We need a new seeker on this. But it hasn't been coordinated yet, so. No.
Yeah. Matt, anything from you?
Nothing additional.
Councilmember Mazer? So we are going to have to table this, waiting on the seeker coordination. Anyone care to make a motion for table?
I'll make a motion to give them an opportunity to come back with a plan that shows some landscaping and then anything else and changing.
Great.
So I'll make a motion to table.
Second for that? Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We will see you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
It's just a house.
Okay.
It's the mess. It's the photos and
The email. We'll move on. Matt, I think there were a couple things that you wanted to discuss, right?
Yes, please.
Other business that you wanted to discuss?
Sure. We had a conversation this afternoon in response to last night's town board meeting. It was adopted. That's where you want me to go with that. We'll start there.
Sure.
Only because it's going to segue into what we've been discussing here for a few months, maybe even more than that. So the adoption last night was to provide an opportunity for the town board to hear the concept for commercial site plan submittals. The request was, well, it was resolved last night that the applicants would present the project at a work session, a 5-minute presentation prior to the submittal for and distribution for review. That being said, we may need to do a couple of different things. One, add that requirement in the directional portion of our application packet for site plan review. Secondly, we may have to alter Chapter 400 for site plan review to accommodate the concept proposal at the town board level prior to submittal. That led to several discussions even later on this afternoon as well. There may be a possibility of incorporating a notification requirement to the adjoining parcels for site plan projects, just to alert neighbors, the adjoining properties, of some actions that are being considered in the community. So, we have been discussing updating our subdivision applications, site plan applications. But, it's a good time. We're talking about making these amendments to these applications. We can incorporate these into the process and policies and move forward with making the zoning code changes if necessary.
So the sketch plans get required town board approval before they come to the planning board?
No, just a concept presentation.
No more than 5.
No approval.
And that's,
No action, no nothing, just a presentation.
we have a copy of the resolution in front of us.
Councilman Larry Ted also said, I believe, that maybe I'm speaking on, that he was interested in working with you guys, working on those changes.
Yeah, I had distributed today I took the subdivision regulations and the subdivision code, put them side by side and made sure everything that's in the code is in the draft regulation that was distributed to a small group to start looking at. And site plan, same thing, regulation, code. We merged them, make sure everything is in the code. Hopefully I'll get that out tomorrow. So once we have the quote updated code complete, then it would make sense to incorporate what was passed last night in there as a change. If we're going to adopt 2 new codes, let's make sure it's all complete. And then you can use those to go through and develop new applications. Say, okay, here's what the code says, make sure the applications are following what needs to be submitted. Because we're looking at decreasing the number of copies that are submitted, making electronic required. There's a whole bunch of little steps and tweaks here and there along the way.
So as I pondered through the process, I think if we veer off from the definition of what the packet is, it's really a submittal application. Prior to the adoption of the new code, it was identified as regulations for subdivisions, and it was referred to in the town code. So I think if we stay away from that terminology, it will eliminate some confusion what the zoning requirements are for subdivisions. The zoning law is the requirement, it is the regulation. The application packet should clearly describe the process and the directions necessary to make application for submittal. Specifically to subdivisions, my recommendation would be two separate applications after classification, major and minor, because they're both going to follow a separate path of review and recommendation. Trying to incorporate them into one neat packet does, it creates more confusion than anything. It could be clearly defined, and if it is classified as minor, specific items that is necessary to make that recommendation, as opposed to the full-blown major subdivision, the three-step sketch, preliminary, and final plat. Site plan, again, that can be modified to deal with the number of copies, the electronic copies, the additional resolution that was adopted, other requirements for notification. So, like I said, I think it just, everything all came at the proper time, at a good time. And we just get together as a group, figure out what we want, and then get a common idea down the road so that applicants are clearly provided the information necessary for stability.
And just to, talk about Tony, it sounded like you're a little skeptical about this whole idea coming to the better board. You got questions about it. Like, for example, the Casey machine, 15,000 square foot, 14,000 square foot addition. That would be not one that the town board, it's mostly like new concept plans. I think they added some terminology.
So, yes, and the copy that we have was the one that was published on the pre-filed resolutions, because there were some amendments made to a couple of the paragraphs. And it was very specific to new commercial projects and multifamily mixed-use projects. Whatever that final draft is, I haven't read yet, but we need to drill that down. And that's why working with the town board, this board, stakeholders, whatever it takes, drill it down, let's figure out exactly what we need to do with it.
Because the way it's worded, I suggested to Councilman O'Leary that we need to clean that up a little, because you're going to have people, you're going to have people very confused about, in addition to their warehouse, why do I have to show a concept plan for this? That wasn't the intent. And the way it was originally, I think, worded in that first resolution, it's kind of vague.
So doesn't the town board get copies of all these things that are submitting to the planning board?
Yeah, yes.
The planning board copies of the planning board minutes.
Yeah, well, they get the initial submittal.
I think it's so.
Yeah.
All I can say is you can't say much in 5 minutes.
I'm not arguing that.
And there's only three cases, it looks like.
But if that's what they want,
Right, I mean, that hasn't changed, right? Still only 3 per working session?
Tops, yeah, which shouldn't be fine.
Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss, Matt?
Yes, thank you. So anyways, I noticed we had to put on a suspended resolution last night for 4401 Walden Avenue. And what I've seen in the last several cycles, the memos that are provided based on the recommendations that come from this board, I feel should really get to the town board right after the recommendations are made, as opposed to waiting until we approve the minutes, because when the minutes are provided to the town board, they're simply received and filed. They're not placed on any docket to create resolutions for approvals or whatever the case may be. So I just saw a gap there. So it may be beneficial that any recommendations that do come from a public meeting like this, that those are sent directly to the town board for action items. And then, they can be followed up, included with the minutes, or just be a part of the minutes that are approved at this next meeting cycle. But the recommendation, I don't think, is what needs to be approved when we approve minutes.
The recommendation would come from the liaison to the attorney's office.
I understand that, but what happens is the memo is incorporated with the planning board minutes, just sent to the town board. from the planning board to the town board.
Let's just say, for example, today, the negative deck that was accepted for Tennessee Street. You know, that can be, get to the attorney's office quickly.
Usually the next day, if not the following day. So by Friday, that information is to the attorneys. We don't sit on any.
So I guess we need to just keep checking to make sure that those are prepared for resolutions.
That's what's become the hole in the process. The liaison, the councilman needs to support or sponsor a resolution. The resolution has to be drafted, but typically the minutes for the planning board meeting and the memos of recommendations come a week prior to.
No,
I think they come within a week, right? They come pretty quick. It's just they come in as minutes.
When I go home tonight, I will be emailing to Carlo to approve those minutes.
Yeah.
For any of the neg decks or even POSDEC. And then those immediately go to the town attorney. If there's any project that's approved, those are all noted in emails to the town attorney. So anything that needs action is immediately acted on. I mean, I'm saying either Thursday or Friday, that information is distributed.
So it is forwarded on to those that are creating these resolutions. One more time, I'm finding holes in the process where we're coming up onto the meeting. Now, the agenda is released and the applicants are, where's my plan? Where's my approval? Where is my project?
I missed the planning board meeting for the 4401 house. I don't think I was on top of that.
He was on the last one.
It's not the first one. I mean, that was the beginning of August. Right? It was the first meeting in August, right? But it was September 6th. In reality, by zoning code, that's an approval by default. So whether the town board acts or not, it's approved. The recommendation was made, the town board has to act within 30 days.
So after a planning board meeting, do you have any correspondence with the office for approvals?
You send the minutes and Gloria does the resolutions. So if they're not being sent right away, I'll put her on it and see if there's, she needs help, I can start getting her on it now.
I mean, I think she has.
Yeah.
So the recommendations are actually going for resolution, right?
I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, and that's usually like the top to-do list, but she knows there's resolutions that need to put on that following Monday. She knows to do that right away.
We can find out where that 4401 went.
That was just for this week's meeting?
Last night. Suspended last night.
But I got approved here.
Okay. Yeah.
If anyone else wants to be copied in on those, like when I send them to the attorneys, I mean, just let me know, I can copy anyone else in on them also. It's easy, no, I just add things.
So you just add mine.
Yeah.
And that way I can double check with Gloria and make sure that they have taken care of it. It's just a firewall.
Matt, anything else?
What's it, Carl?
Councilmember Mazer.
Well, the only comment I make is that Pleasant View is right now today is no go for traffic issue. And I don't think there's one person on the board that's going to be interested in it unless they can.
He said
answer a lot of
Pleasant was
those
on it.
questions.
So that you
We'll
make,
make the traffic study say whatever.
that should make you happy.
They'll massage the data, but like I said.
I don't think they're gonna be able, I don't think the level of service at that intersection is pretty bad. And, I mean.
Miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if it's not D or F now.
The light was up today.
I called Pilato when I was coming, I said, hey, you got a light problem here.
There was a flashing red light.
It was backed up considerable today. It was packed up from Pleasant View to Genesee. But,
Past the court stand.
Second day of school.
yeah, so, It's gonna be difficult. Now, that doesn't mean they can't come back and propose right turn lanes and left turn lanes and to mitigate it. That's up to them.
Right turn lane will go right through Tim Horton.
No, at Pleasant View in Harrisville. The state is already doing work at Genesee in Harrisville. They are putting turn lanes in. That project's already on the books. That whole intersection's being rebuilt. Not probably for a couple of years, but it's on the books.
They did know the special use permit passed for Broadway owners.
Oh, it did? Okay. I guess I don't need to belabor that one.
What? We don't know what we're doing as far as air quality?
That was going to be my comment. I was going to ask if we had...
Pretty soon we're gonna have all electric cars, so
we could figure out whether or not air quality or air sampling needs to be done for any of these projects.
One of the other, just going back to that, the condition was that there was going to be a public hearing in the 6 months, I believe it was, into the project to see, hear public input if there's any issues. It was for 1 year. The special use permit was for 1 year, as I believe as of yesterday. So.
So normally they're 2 years, it was shrunk down to 1 year?
They were asking for 2 years, but we got 1 year.
Okay.
It still was 5 years.
Cindy, do we hit everything on the list?
I thought there was an email regarding the update on a proposed moratorium from Town Board and comprehensive plan update progress report.
I have one.
Oh, sorry.
It's a question, comment, because I was a little unclear. For the Harris Hill subdivision, they came in for a sketch plan, and we tabled it for what?
Come back with something better.
So, I mean, so in reality, you rejected the sketch plan
Yeah,
that they submitted?
yeah.
We didn't say that, but we
Why,
did
yeah, I
tell
know,
them.
that's why I'm asking, because, you tabled it, but for what?
We probably should have voted to deny the project,
Well, to
or to deny the sketch
sketch
plan.
with, and.
As
and-
presented. yeah.
As presented, recommend these changes.
Well,
Well, we don't have any changes to recommend, that's the thing. And he
Right.
asked for recognized the deficits. It's not like we shocked him with traffic concerns. And he said, just give us a chance.
Right, but traffic won't come in during sketch.
Traffic, floodplain,
That's all part of preliminary, that's not gonna be part of sketch.
You didn't do your engineering review.
Don't have any engineering.
He had,
Yeah.
no, he had
Yeah.
open,
You provided a comment letter.
Correct, about the
I
turnaround?
provided a comment letter.
Yep.
and they weren't
I gave us
addressed.
clear direction on what they needed to do to come back to get a sketch plan.
Right.
So I'd be very mindful, and I would do your due diligence, read through the subdivision code, and identify and understand what the applicant needs to get when we go through this process of sketch plan. They need to be told exactly what they need to do to get an approval for sketch plan.
So they got letters from both of you with recommendation, or with requirements, and they didn't address either of them, so.
Yeah, well, some of mine are gonna come up later in the engineering.
Was there something, the last, not this one, but the last one that came in with base flood elevations that you had pointed out?
the last one, I think at that time Matt provided us, or at least me, with a copy of the floodplain map of that area.
Yeah. That sketch plan was denied. They had their stormwater in the
Direct-
floodplain. They had a lot of things going on in the floodplain. Even with this one, just let me, if you don't mind, time.
No, we're fine, we're fine.
Just to give you an idea of what some of the things that really need to be itemized. Stormwater conveyance, as we spoke about, there's an existing ditch that was created by the town to alleviate a flooding problem, and they basically crossed Harris Hill to divert water west of Ellicott Creek as opposed to sending it directly to Ellicott Creek. on that side of the street. A written plan for the management and protection of the wetlands and the flood hazard areas. They avoided them in their design, but they never provided a written plan on how they're going to manage and protect it from future encroachments. Conservation area, HOA, whatever it is, they have to provide that outline in the sketch plan. The turnaround at the Harrisville Road end of that project does not meet the standard. I don't know where they got that design from, but we have adopted standards for road terminations. There were some remnant parcels at the entranceway of Pleasant View Drive that were not identified or not called out as common area, HOA areas, gathering areas, whatever it is, it's just vacant land. Who deals with that, right? And then, again, full frontage public sidewalk and a crosswalk detail on Pleasant View Drive. That entire stretch of Pleasant View Drive should have public sidewalk. This is not some two-cup road anymore. It's a developed road. The sidewalks are going to go there. They have to go. It's a school right now.
Yep.
So those are the recommendations from the zoning end of it, and that comes right out of the zoning. So whatever comments that, from civil engineering is, I would hope they would incorporate that with a modification to that sketch plan and either vote yea or nay on what they provided the next time around. But they should be given clear direction of what they need to do to make it right. Their sketch plan.
More clear than what you gave them?
You can give them the copy of what I provided, unless y'all can think of something, or, you have those discussions. You talked about traffic, doing a study during the school year.
Yep.
You talked about how to mitigate that kind of thing. And that's where the other agencies are going to help navigate that during the preliminary planning process. If it gets there.
Yeah, it's zoned for residential though.
It most certainly is.
And,
Agricultural, residential in the sewer district. We develop that all day long.
in theory, there's other aspects.
It's as of right, it's permitted. It's not that it's not permitted. It's not like the light industrial district.
Right.
Where you can't put a subdivision in the light, you just can't do it.
You can't do that, but
Sewer, no.
it is a something that by right they can do, but if it causes adverse effects between traffic, environmental, we map that as a RPOD. They could look at other options of development.
Is it time to change the code to not allow AR districts to be developed as R district subdivisions? Is it time?
Good to tell you.
You gotta hear it. We have to have those discussions. We have to get input from the residents. They have to be the ones that tell us how to build it.
Right. If I was some of those people with my houses on Pleasant View and on Harris Hill, some of that one lot is like tucked right up behind someone else's backyard, and these folks aren't accustomed to having anybody in their backyard. They didn't buy into an existing subdivision that the backyards are all right there. They're used to looking out and seeing whatever they're used to seeing. So I would hope that they would be in touch with their neighbors. It sounds a lot like what's one up behind what used to be the car dealer off of Genesee Street, like up by between Home Road and Stutzman. Thank you.
Going speed of that, again, not to end it on this. Preliminary discussions with the town all over this, where the speed limit on Stutzman from 35 down to 30, there's a lack of sidewalks, and there's other issues. There was a petition funded by, I forgot the gentleman's name, two board meetings ago, so it's going into the, I guess you'd say, public safety committee, but they're going to be talking about it. We did get a letter from the police that they would see, they did not have an issue with lowering it, so just to keep you guys aware, if you make a change, love that public hearing on that too. So, it's not guaranteed, but it's,
Anything else, anybody? We will see you in 2 weeks, not one,
Except me.
except you.
Mine.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're not
Yeah, I'd rather talk about a few other things. It took me like 30 minutes to get up to the high school today, to jump off my kid. That is a bad road.
Well, we were 15 minutes early.
Four times. Recycled. That was like 100 feet past work.
All I was thinking is William, and I still just can't.